Hello, Christopher. Welcome to Macedonia, and thank you for sitting down to have a small ORO culture talk with us.
It's a pleasure. I'm very happy to be here, and the weather is beautiful outside, and I'm looking forward to tonight's concert. It's really an honor for me.
This is not your first time to come here. What makes you come back?
Well, I think Macedonia is a very interesting country. I've been to Skopje last year, a couple of days prior to my concert in Bitola. And my wife and me, we spent a couple of days in Skopje, and then we drove with a rental car to the Lake Omrit, which was also beautiful. So I think it's a very interesting country with a very traditional culture, but also very modern. So it's exactly my cup of tea.
Tonight in the arena, concert with the Chamber Orchestra from Bitola. Tell us more about that. What's on the menu for tonight for the audience?
On the menu is a very interesting combination of 1980s songs, which the Bitola Chamber Orchestra will play actually with the selected artists. And then there will be the Shiller part, which of course I'm particularly excited about. So we put together a 1-hour program, also with different Macedonian artists who will perform vocals and also very talented and amazing musicians who will perform these songs with us. So I guess it will be a very wide array of melodies the audience obviously or hopefully is familiar with, and we are trying to give some Schiller tunes which have been never performed live before, a little twist with the orchestra. So I'm very excited about that.
As you mentioned, you're best known to the audience as Schiller. You name yourself by the German poet and playwright Friedrich Schiller. Why him? Why this name?
You know, sometimes these ideas just happen without the intention to somehow take, for example, this name with you for more than 20 years. I always try to give random events in my life a chance. So back in 1998, which was actually last century, I tried to create club tracks with medium success, so to speak. And for every track, I tried to invent a new artist name, right? And then eventually there was this song called Das Glockenspiel, because it has a very prominent bell melody, and das Glockenspiel is like an instrument which sounds like a bell. And I've been looking another time for an artist's name, right? And so because the song was called Das Glockenspiel, and the very famous poem of Friedrich Schiller, the poet, is also called Die Glocke, which means the bell. I never expected that track to be successful. I was hoping for it, but I didn't expect it. And so it was more like a little irony that I just borrowed Mr. Schiller's name, and I couldn't really expect and anticipate that it would be my artist name for more than 20 years. So if you would have asked me, okay, so now please make up an artist name which is valid for 20 years, I probably wouldn't have chosen Schiller. But it was just, a decision in a split second. And sometimes it's good in life to think a little bit. Sometimes it can make things a little too heady, right? Because the brain is always working against your guts, and at that moment it was like a gut decision.
As Schiller, you're a pioneer in electronic music. Is it true if we say that you create your most famous albums in the golden era of the electronic music? You mentioned 1998, 2000.
Well, I hope the golden era of electronic music will never end, but obviously that was a certain peak, because electronic music, especially dance music, club music, was more or less dominating the charts worldwide. It really got mainstream back then. It used to start in the underground clubs in Berlin, in Frankfurt, of course, also in America and in Detroit, Chicago, more like house music over there. But the trance and techno tracks were more or less, focused on Berlin and Frankfurt. And they somehow still are, but obviously now it's one of many genres. Even pop music now can be considered electronic music because you really, you rarely hear a real band playing, right? Maybe sometimes a guitar, but everything else is electronic anyway, and it's more or less, created electronically, although it doesn't necessarily sound like electronic music. I think that, I think electronic music will always be there, and I'm very happy to see that when we play concerts that now the audience gets younger and younger because they get curious and they apparently want to learn something about the electronic past, and maybe we are also, maybe we will have an electronic future ahead of us. That'll be nice.
If we say this year's 2000 are the golden period of electronic music, and how much you think that contribute to the success of your music?
I have no idea. To be honest, I don't even know why my music is successful for a certain audience. I don't know, because I think if you create art with the intention of being successful, then it will be dead art. It might be successful, yes, but I think the audience somehow feels if art is being authentic, and if the artist is serious about it, or if it's just basically a mean to make money, right? And obviously, I still consider myself being a newcomer, because I still want to learn, right? And that's why I'm doing this project, because this is a project which is challenging me in a way. I haven't done it under these circumstances with this combination, so there are 100 reasons not to do it. But there are less reasons, but more important reasons to actually challenge yourself with this. And that's why I try to stay forever young by just exposing myself to these kinds of challenges. And that's maybe what the audience kind of feels and considers hopefully being authentic.
We mentioned you started and you created music back then, and you're still doing and you're still creating music. What have changed in music industry from back then? What stays the same?
Well,
shortly.
Shortly, yes, don't get me started on that. Well, basically, there always have been certain fashions of music, right? So there always has been the fashion of the day when it comes to people's tastes, and the sound of music has constantly been evolving and changing. I think, however, that besides that, the actual transition from CDs or from physical media to streaming changed people's perception of music and the value of music a lot. I'm not talking about the value of a CD in terms of the price tag, but these days you just can carry around the entire memory of mankind in your phone. You have instant access onto every track which has been created, I don't know, for the past 100 years. And that's convenient on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's somehow, music is only one smaller part of expressing yourself today. Social media is being a big part for people to somehow, show who they are. And, a couple of years ago, if somebody would have asked me, what can I do if I want to make music as a profession, right? As a full-time artist, probably I would have answered, just, focus on your dreams, try to find your sound, try to find your way, never give up. Today, I'm not so sure whether I would even recommend trying to do that, because those parameters are not sufficient anymore to become an artist with a sustainable career. So that's why I think music still matters, but in a very different way than, say, 10 years ago.
About music and different types of electronic music, listening to the electronic music back then and now, my observation and also some type of generalization is that back then the music, including your music, is more dense but melodic, but also soulful, but organic. Nowadays it's more like everything rave, bass 100 times per minute, glue one to each other till it's not recognizable in just like noise. Would you agree with this generalization about?
You mean of music in general?
Yeah, the more popular type of music back then was this type of melodic and organic music, and now it's somehow too aggressive and it's just rave and.
Well, I think still there are different genres and different subgenres around. So basically, it depends if you obviously look at the charts or which songs apparently are being listened to, then that really might apply. And at the end of the day, I've been talking about music as an art form, and I try to maintain it as an art form. But still, even with art, it's a question of demand, right? So nobody is forced to listen to the type of music you just described. They do it voluntarily. So apparently right now there's a high demand for this rather pumping electronic version of music. Maybe that's going to change in the future again, as it has in the past. But I think there are still many people who maybe from time to time, if they go out, for example, or if they're driving in the car and they just want some pumping beats, they just turn up the volume and listen to that. And maybe in a different situation, when they just want to relax and they want to dream, then they choose another playlist, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. When we are talking about your style of music, you created huge radio hits that are not necessarily, in my opinion, purely commercial and not necessarily underground rave that we mentioned. Somewhere in the middle, like the sweet spot of music. How do you walk this fine musical line and find yourself?
I think it's a matter of being rather stubborn on the one hand, because sometimes, when I'm working on a song, especially on a song which can be considered more pop music, then I refuse to use certain tools which would make it even more commercial. I just refuse, because it appears to be too easy, which it's not at the end of the day, but I just try to find different ways, different streets to come to the same destination. And the destination is always to move the listener, right? To somehow create a moment in time which somehow makes the audience dream and forget reality, at least for a couple of minutes. And so maybe that's why I always try to find a different roadmap to get to the end game. Obviously, that doesn't always work. It rarely works, actually. I guess that's just my. Those two different sides. One side of me really loves commercial music, and the other side of me loves really uncommercial music. So music which isn't really intended to be played at the radio or on MTV, for that matter. And maybe that's why this mixture, or this kind of no man's land has been created.
As last question in this short interview, let's talk about your next album. It's already announced and it's named Euphoria. Available for pre-order. Tell us more about it. What the audience should expect.
Well, Euphoria is actually, I think, a little, turn of the tides, so to speak, because at least how I feel the world right now, it's very personal view of the situation in the world, obviously. There are so many reasons to be sad, depressed. The world is in turmoil. It always has been, but it feels very, very, it feels even more difficult now than it felt like maybe 10 years ago, right? And so I just want to create an antidote for that. And that's why I chose the title Euphoria. Because I think that music as a mean to escape reality, at least for the length of an album, for 1 hour, for example, has always been important, but maybe today it's even more important. And that's why I want to really invite the listener to join me in this world of fantasy, of energy, also of positive energy, and to somehow provide a certain type of hope and a certain type of escapism. So just to escape reality.
Christopher, thank you for this short ORO radio interview, and see you tonight on stage.
Thank you very, very much for your patience. I know some of my answers have been a little extended, the extended version, so to speak, but I loved your questions and I'm very, very happy to be on this program. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you.